speaking of college football, though, you got your hands on the new NCAA yesterday. What is the Noah Kreitz review of this year's, newest edition of the game we missed so much that we will now get yearly?
I mean, it is. I think it's play. You could play it. I think it's the early release is what it is. My buddy has it. I don't have it personally, so I went over and played. Got to play a DKR. Much more smooth. They got the drone show if you do the night game and whatnot, and they got Bevo's looking nice. But yeah, I mean it's good. I mean is it very similar to the last one they did? Sure, you know what I mean. Yeah, Sarkisian looks a little crazy. Like I said, Sarkisian looks a little nuts in it. They didn't do a great job with how he looks. But
is he wearing the all whites?
When he came out of the tunnel at home, I had them playing against Nebraska at home. Kind of an interesting matchup. I tried to make it a little bit different. He was wearing orange. So
what in the hell? Come on, the game's already ruined.
The game is already.
They don't understand. Sark's an all whites guy.
He is an all white.
Saw Arch looking pretty boxy.
Really boxy. Yeah, he looks really boxy. I'll say that. But yeah, no, game's cool. I think the actual is it Thursday? You're gonna get the regular game.
Yeah,
the regular release comes out. My buddy.
So get ready for Friday's show where we start a dynasty and we live commentate how far we can get. I guarantee 5 hours of play. We do a little sim in there. I think we could get to like 2028 with the University of Texas Longhorns. Guys, it is early July. We are reaching.
We are reaching. That's for sure. Yeah, the two new teams that are new to college, Division I college football this year that they've added are Delaware, as I mentioned, they're new, and then Missouri State as well. The Bears out there are new to the game and did the conferences, realign them for 2026 right away. So I put your Texas State Bobcats right into
you started a new Pac-12?
Pac-2, which is now the Pac-8 or Pac-9 if you include Gonzaga.
Like it used to be.
Yes.
The early days of the Pac-8 and then the Pac-10.
Pac-10, remember
that?
Grew
up with? Yeah.
Why can we get rid of the numbers?
I have said this for many, many years. I've said this since 2011.
SEC's the only one that's kind of got an ACC also, but like
you can't have a number in your conference if you're not going to have that number. Also, why the fact that there's two bigs, just the lack of creativity.
We should just already rename. You've brought it up multiple times. The Big 12
would you name it though?
Well, the Big 12 would now be called the Dr. Pepper Conference.
Big 10 is the Midwestern Conference. Whatever.
We could. I would see
from Atlantic to Pacific. Yeah.
I would just see the Big 10 to Big because it goes Atlantic to Pacific. Big.
I'm in the Big.
Yeah, we're playing in the BIG.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like once you get towards double the amount, that's when it starts getting out of hand. There are 18 teams in the Big 10.
Right.
Which is, that's too many teams to have in a conference, but to have it named after a number that hasn't been true since when? The
Penn State.
the 90s?
Yeah, Penn
80s?
State. Yeah, exactly. Early 90s, I think Penn State came in. They had that logo where the 11 was tucked in. The Big 10 logo, remember that? Or like it was like one of those FedEx things. What is that called? It's great for radio. When they put images within an image.
Yeah.
FedEx has the arrow.
Clever.
There's a lot of those in sports. West Virginia, their logo's the state.
So once they came to the Big 10, that was the Big 11. And then you add Nebraska. Of course, Maryland.
Yeah, after like
Rutgers.
A&M and Missouri all switched up, the Big 12 had 10 teams for a long time.
Yeah.
So they were the real Big 10.
The real
Big 10 had like 14 teams.
14, now to 18.
Yeah,
of course, adding UCLA and Washington.
So that throws my Midwest Conference thing into the grinder, but I still think that makes sense.
It does. And then the rest of the conferences have about what? Most of them have. SEC has 16. ACC now is that 17?
Yeah, I think the Big 12 was
17 teams
going to have
ACC?
12 until they added a couple more. Like they were going to have 12 when Texas and OU left because they added, U of H and Cincinnati and a couple other teams. But then since realignment happened again and they added Utah and Colorado, they're up back over 12.
Yeah. I'll say this, going back to the video game real quick. I want to get a feel for how Arch Manning played and whatnot, and if anyone stuck out to me. Colin Simmons, I had like 3 sacks within like 6 plays.
Nice.
He's ridiculous off the edge. That's always fun just to see who's starting on the defense. They had Trey Wisner starting, had the star around him, 91. So we'll see if that's the case. I don't know how accurate that'll truly be once C.J. Baxter is fully healthy, but week 1, I'm assuming Trey Wisner will be RB1. Now week 5, when they're playing in Florida, could be the different case. So,
yeah,
but no,
in week 10, week 12, week 15, I think you're going to see a lot more C.J. Baxter moving forward.
Yeah. No, team was really good, fun to play with for sure. O-line was holding up all right for Arch Manning. Looks nothing like Arch, though. Just looks nothing like him. DJ Lagway played a few games of against a couple of my buddies. Played at the Swamp with DJ Lagway. He's nice, and he plays real nice. The receiver's very good there. Played with OU. I played with all the teams in the SEC, it felt like already. Jamatir, good, but their receivers suck. And that's not
there it is.
Not great receivers.
I think we're going to see that this year. I feel like there's going to be a lot of...
Their defensive line was awesome. They're getting to the quarterback, but, they do a good job to make this as accurate as possible. I thought the atmospheres, too, because I played at DKR, up there in Norman, and then at the Swamp. All of them were some of the loudest stadiums. I think they had Texas at 13th. How do you feel about that?
Disrespectful.
You think so?
I mean, we're the only team that will throw trash on the field when it doesn't go our way. That's an advantage.
I will admit, one of my favorite things about the Big 12 is, people say the Texas fan is arrogant and they expect to win and they don't always show up. There is something to that I do appreciate. Like, this is a hoppin' town with a great, a great culture, great atmosphere. Of course, I'm not going to the Irwin Center on a rainy January night
other things
for TCU.
To do. Yeah, other things to do.
Even though TCU was very good when I was a student. They had Desmond Bain, who's gotten his second mention of the day. And NBA champion Kenrich Williams.
Was he there for 4 years?
It was Desmond Bain and Kenrich Williams on those TCU teams that were fantastic. But the point is, it's like Texas is never going to have the best atmosphere. Neither is Michigan. It's the culture. It's the culture of those two universities. It's the fact that yes, they are and have been historically sports universities. But at the end of the day, there's most of the students there could not give less of a rip about college athletics. They're dorks, and they make a ton of money after they go out of school.
A lot of them, that's the case. A lot of the fans didn't go to Texas or didn't go to Michigan, including myself.
That too.
I didn't know.
They're fan bases that kind of exceed or go beyond just the college sports of it. They're just such big brands that, especially back in the day, it was much harder to consume. Like I still can't get Rockets games or Astros games.
Well, you can get.
Yeah, but I can just go down to the street to Dish Falk, or I could go down the street to the Irwin Center. Now, I mean, it's so much easier to consume those live games, but they're major sports teams in what have become major cities, a city like Austin. So
we're going to get more into that actually in the next segment when I break open this top rivalry list. The Athletic came out with I did see it. There's 100.
There's 100. We can do all that too. It is the dog days of July.
We'll do a couple funny ones I see on the 100. We'll probably keep it to the top 25.
Yeah. I want to see if they have the funnier names of like.
They got some ones that you have not heard of, Jack.
Yeah.
that I haven't heard of either.
It's like that haven't been played in our life.
Lehigh's on here somewhere.
The Akron Zips and the Iowa Vandals play for the Big Brown Log or something like that. I want to know about
Big Brown
that.
Log. How about Richmond and William and Mary? You know that one? The Capital Cup. Have you heard of that?
No.
I've seen that
I haven't
race.
either.
Oh, that makes sense though. I like that.
How about Williams versus Amherst?
But there are some
C3
that
football,
were
baby.
on this list that I did have. How are some of the names that we will get to above like the Holy War's not on here? What's the game between West Virginia and Pitt? That's
called the
Backyard Brawl.
That
was not on there.
One.
Like these are great games. And I think to me the reason I love college football so much more than the NFL. And I do love the NFL. We all watch 12-plus hours of NFL football every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
But college football, at its core, has something that is true of old Austin and something that we all miss as it slips away. And it's a good parallel because, as college football becomes more and more professional and there's drone shows, and it loses and I use this word endearingly, the crappiness. There is a crappiness about college football that I love so much.
Oh yeah,
it's the amateurism.
Yeah, like there's something
these guys are pros.
I hate watching about bad baseball, and there's something I hate watching about bad basketball. But there's something great about bad football.
Yeah, because you get more exciting plays out of a bad football game, whereas
watching just a random quarterback who is making his third start in week 10 on a Thursday night of some action.
Oh,
and he is just shaking in his boots. And he is doing things with the football you didn't think possible. You didn't know he could throw it that far back.
Muncie, Indiana.
That's what makes college football great to me. And so that's why I love all these like down home, homespun, Trail of Lights, Esther's Follies type of library. This very homegrown, homemade kind of a thing that maybe it doesn't have the production value and the quote unquote quality, but it's better.
It is
because you can tell it's made with love.
Jack,
college football is made with love.
More.
Yeah,
because that kid that is playing on a Thursday in his third start isn't fully equipped with the idea that he's like, well, tonight goes really well. I could be looking at a day 3 pick.
And also, like, who do you think hates each other more? People from Philadelphia and people from Dallas, or people from one town in Alabama and another town in Alabama?
And that's,
like, it's just
right.
way
That's what
better.
makes
Minutia.
It's I don't know.
High schools. Have you ever seen more intense rivalries than kids that live 2 streets over? It's great.
Well, that's what makes college football, right? And I heard someone say this on a podcast myself recently, and I think it's spot on, right? If you are the coach of, it was the Patriots was the example, and you keep losing to the New York Jets, your
Mike
rival.
Vrabel,
Yeah, or you keep losing, right, exactly, Mike Vrabel. And you keep losing to the Jets, but you're winning Super Bowls or going to Super Bowls, that's fine. Your job is completely safe. We talk about all the time, the team that just won the national championship, right? What's going on over there with Ryan Day when his job's on the line, when he has the winningest record in their history in the time frame he's coached, referring to Ohio State. And we're talking about his job on the line because he keeps losing to Michigan. They just won the national title. There's pressure on him. I'm not saying the seat is hot. His seat's a little cooler now that he won the title. But there's still pressure on him in Columbus.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you got to beat Michigan still. Like, nice job with the title, but it doesn't make sense
but did you beat Michigan?
Right, it doesn't make sense to the common fan maybe, but if you understand rivalries, and this town knows about it, they're one of the best rivalries, number 3 on this list. I respect it. You can't keep losing to OU if you lose to OU for half a century.
Yeah.
I mean,
and to that point, like with Texas and OU, as terrible as Texas was in the 2000s, that OU game was always weird. And Texas would sneak a few past it. Like the Case McCoy got a win. Tyrone Swoops, I think, got a win in there.
On the other side of things, 2 years ago got it done.
Exactly, with Dylan Gabriel and Jeff Lebby and all.
Right.
I mean, so it can get strange. Texas wins with an OU team with Kyler Murray, a team that had Hollywood Brown and CeeDee Lamb, and you win that game, and then you go and lose a couple of years ago to Dylan Gabriel. And then on the other hand, the year before that, you win 49-0. So you can get way weirder with these rivalries. It's way more passionate.
It is way more passionate. I think that's what makes college football what it is, right? NFL football product, Jack, you brought it up, and I think it's spot on. It's better. It's professional, right? Yeah. These are grown men that are doing this for a profession, the best athletes in the world. Mm-hmm. Not to say that the guys in college aren't the best athletes. We're seeing on the 40 acres they're producing.
Absolutely.
But people go to schools for a few things, right? Development's huge. We're seeing that with Sarkisian. That's why they had the number 1 recruiting class. They're putting product out there. Last 2 classes combined in the draft Texas has had the most players come out of it. The factory is what I call it. That's what Texas is becoming.
Yeah.
Right, and you can turn it around with a coach and a coaching staff within 5 years, which we're seeing here, Sark, right? They've made it to the semifinals. They won their conference championship a couple years ago. They were in the SEC championship last year. And the list goes on and on and on. But what makes college football so fun is the fact that we're talking about rivalries, and that a lot of these teams, that matters more to them than, obviously, winning the national title is the ultimate goal. But that's 1B. You got to beat your rival.
And
you
especially,
can't lose to OU.
Especially like
or A&M.
Or A&M.
College
or
football,
Arkansas.
It's always adding, something to play for teams that might not necessarily have anything to play for.
Everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah, and
that's what you talk about. Like, I don't remember, the Lions lost to the Bears 2 years ago. I don't even really remember that. But I will remember if they lost to Michigan State. And State fans will tell you about it. And, remember when he lost with Aiden Hutchinson? Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
You can make fun of everybody getting a trophy, but I feel like it is more fun when there are smaller, funnier trophies for everybody to get. Like, ultimately,
these kids would die for it, too.
Yeah, year in and year out. When we mentioned in a cross-conference matchup that ultimately has no bearing on what happens for the college football season, but Pitt and West Virginia.
Yeah, that is backyard brawl is unreal.
Beyond heated.
I'll tell you one.
Both of those teams might go 7-5, 8-4.
Right,
but they have that game, man. They have that game.
They got that game.
That's what makes it great.
Nebraska and Oklahoma are on this list, kind of for the more old school Big 12, right?
Big 8.
Big 8, exactly, Jack. Going way back. Another one in that kind of category. I've got Nebraska friends in my life. They hate Colorado. There's a hate there that people don't know about. You know what I mean? I mean, there's this passion. And I don't know if the word is PC or whatnot, but tribal is the only thing I can think of.
No, for sure.
Yeah. It's tribal. That's what college football is. And there's pockets in this country, out west, I think of, but coming to Austin and maybe you go to Norman, everything more west of that, and I'm not trying to exclude any programs. USC's not there right now, but that's one of them.
Yeah.
Oregon and Washington have their years.
Oregon State.
That's a good one, yes. But I'm just saying, this is a regional sport. When you come in from Pennsylvania, all the way down south, all the way to the west of the Mississippi until you get about the panhandle of Oklahoma. There's a few schools in there. Then no discredit to Utah and a couple good programs out there. Arizona State's been good in the past. And like I said, USC's one of the blue bloods on the West Coast. It is a very regional sport where we're talking about small towns in Alabama, and there's hate in the heart. And a rivalry game that we talk about, got to see it last year. We got to be up there. One of the coolest spectacles was going to the Cotton Bowl. I mean, that place it's so unique. There's nothing like it really in sports in general, right? You have them playing in an old school stadium, split in half. I mean, that's what makes the rivalries.
Corn dog?
Yep. Come on. We'll talk more about it. Very excited to get into this and where we would put teams. Biggest issue, biggest grievance about it, we talked about yesterday. I'm going to say it right now. I'll preview it. Ohio State, Penn State's not a real rivalry. I don't. That's not number 8 on this list.
Oh, yeah. No.
It's not. That's recency. That's a recency bias.
Yeah.
They played 40 times.
That's not enough games.
What?
To
At
be
number
top
8
10
on this list?
Yeah, not enough games to be top 10.
All right. We'll get into it. When we come back. It's going to be Horns at half past. We'll be talking all the rivalries, where Texas lands. We'll see how many are in the top 100. I'm sure Arkansas has to be on this list for them, right?
Yeah.
Top 100. We'll find them.
Okay, there should be one that's just like Texas versus opponent.
Yeah.
What's that list? Texas has 8 or 9 teams that consider them rivalries. There was a West Virginia spat in there for a little while.
Yeah, was that like the Horns down?
Yeah, I think Sam had a bit of a hissy fit about Horns down. I'll say it like that. Him and Tom. It was kind of embarrassing.
We'll
Rodney did that a couple of years later.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
We had the rule. It's a fun, penalty for Horns down. That's one of the darkest parts of that era.
Texas A&M at 15, 119 meetings. Now, Texas leads 77-37 with 5 ties thrown in there.
I don't think people realize how regional that one is, especially 15 years after the fact.
Right.
And we don't play it every year. Now it's back, but, it was just one game.
I just think there's some recency bias with some of these is what I'm saying. We'll get into it. How about that? Horns at half past coming up here. We kick off hour 1. We got 5 hours for you today. Stick with us all the way to 11.